later on. Thank you everybody for joining in so far. Welcome to Live and Direct, a brand new initiative by Theatre Peckham that we kicked off during the COVID pandemic. We wanted to hand over our Instagram accounts to young people so we can talk to them about the issues that matter most in such an unprecedented time, giving the metaphorical keys to Theatre Peckham as we can't access the building at the moment, so we can talk about issues that matter to the young people why we do the work. I'm Malachi Sargent. I'm the Associate Director at Theatre Peckham. I've been here for almost 6 months in the role, and a lot of my job over the last few months during the COVID pandemic has been about thinking about solutions to some of the issues creatively that are affecting our young people, and creating projects like this that enable them to still amplify their voices and get creative in such a difficult time. So I'm not sure if you've seen recently, but Taro, who will be joining us for this live in a moment, as well as Talia, who's in our rep company, recently hosted a brilliant panel event with 4 artistic directors, including our very own Suzanne McLean, for an event called AD Realness, where they got to ask 4 leading artistic directors of London venues all about what their job is, demystifying the role of an artistic director. So that is available to watch now through our website, as well as Lockdown and Me, which is a podcast where we collated young people's responses immediately after the COVID pandemic. Without much more to do, I'd like to invite our first young person on, a brilliant young man whose face you may recognise. His name is Jonas. Today we'll be discussing an issue that is directly and indirectly affecting millions across the world after the murder of George Floyd, an unarmed black man in Minneapolis, as we're all quite aware. Riots and protests have catalysed across the world in the wake of the injustices that black people face systemically in nations across the world. So the purpose of this IG Live today, the launch of Live and Direct, is to ask young people how they're feeling about this. So I'm going to invite Jonas to join us.
Hi, Malachi.
Hey Jonas, how you doing?
I'm doing good considering the circumstances, yeah.
Good. You had a good start to your week?
Yeah, good start, yeah.
Good. So we've spoken a little bit about this, but if you could just introduce yourself, if people don't know who you are, what you do, and how you know us at Theatre Peckham.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Jonas. I'm 15 and I've been attending classes at Theatre Peckham for about 12 years now. And at Theatre Peckham I do dance and drama.
Great, thank you. So first things first, why do you come to Theatre Peckham? What is it that you're hoping to do with your life? What do you aspire to be?
Well, Theatre Peckham not only gives me the skills to be able to do a lot of things in my life, but like public speaking and be confident, but it's also the community aspect of it. Everybody there knows everyone, and it's a great positive place to develop your skills, whether it's acting, dance, singing, or even behind the stage, the theatre stuff. So Theatre Peckham has really helped me with that, yeah.
Brilliant. And I guess something I want to ask you is, because of your ethnicity, your race, because of your blackness, do you feel that sometimes when you're trying out these different things, it might be a little more difficult for you? Do you feel like there are any limitations, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what these whole movements have made me realize is that it shouldn't be the case, but what it is with black people and people of color and people from minority ethnicities, we have to work so much harder just to be considered on the same standard as our white counterparts. So in almost everything we do, we have to do it 10 times better just to be considered on the same level.
Mm, mm. And
So I think that, yeah,
why
I
do you
think
think that
that's
is?
what, just in the way society has been set up over the generations, that white people have been the ones that are at the top and we've sort of been the ones that are at the bottom. So I think it's a case of changing that narrative. It's obviously not going to happen overnight.
Mm.
So I think that's why these difficulties are in place a lot of the time.
So when you're talking about changing the narrative, do you think that you, as a creative person, as an artist, you're able to do that? Do you feel like you have the tools to do that? And do you think it's your responsibility?
Well, definitely in everything I go into as a creative, I try to show the best side of myself, because in a lot of cases with a lot of people, they have this preconceived idea of what all young black, especially young black males, they have this preconceived idea of what we're all like before
Mm,
even meeting us. So I think with me, I just try to show that I am not the stereotype that you think I am.
mm,
And I think while it's not our responsibility to undo the mindsets of generations, we do have a responsibility to show our best selves, to prove
mm.
that we're not just what they think we are.
Hmm. Exactly. And that comes with telling the wide range of stories that black people have to tell. You know,
Yeah,
I think often, especially when you're trying to come up in the performing arts sector, there's people that are expecting you to perform a certain way. And when I mean
definitely.
perform, it's like the performing that you might do on stage, but also performing different parts of yourself to other people, depending on where you are. And I think hopefully with this movement, it catalyzes some sort of change where we feel more empowered to do so. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that this movement isn't just a movement for us; it's a movement for everyone to realize that we are all the same in a way,
Hmm.
and it's our differences that make us all special.
Mm, mm, absolutely. So then, what does Black Lives Matter mean to you?
To me, it means that it's not just it's to me, Black Lives Matter means that our lives as black people, basically, like it says, our lives matter. We aren't just statistics, and we aren't just we don't deserve to be treated like statistics as well.
Mm,
And I think it's, to me, it's just making the wider public, people outside of the black community, realize that our lives have importance, and we don't deserve to be treated the way society treats us.
mm, mm. I completely agree.
Yeah.
There's something that there's a word that people use called allyship. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you think you could explain it for people that don't know?
So what allyship is, well, to my understanding, is that even if you're not from the black community yourself, it's you being a supporter, you being somebody who uplifts members of the black community, and yeah, like I said, somebody who supports members of the black community in a positive way.
Mm. So then, as a black person, how would you want allies to support you, especially like right now?
I think right now it would be realizing that there are certain levels of privilege that non-black people have,
Mm,
and it's a case of sort of using that privilege
mm,
to support us, to open doors, and to realize that society isn't equal for black people and non-black people,
mm,
and using that privilege to be able to help us.
hmm. Absolutely. Very, very well articulated. Thank
Yeah.
you. Are there any last comments that you have? Just because I know that Malachi's waiting to come on this.
Yeah, I just think that with this movement, I think people just need to realize it's not just a movement for black people. It's not just a movement where we as the black people just make the noise and then go back to our lives. It's a movement where everybody needs to understand that we have certain aims, and what we're trying to do is to just create equality
Mm,
throughout every aspect of our lives.
mm, brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. You should really consider this public speaking thing. I think
Oh, thank you.
you get crowds really wild. Listen, thank you so much for your time. Really
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you for
Take
inviting me.
care. No
Yeah,
problem.
see you.
Take care. So that was our first young person, Jonas, who was feeding in a couple of his thoughts about the Black Lives Matter movement at this current time. Um, Something he brought up is something I'd like to dissect a little bit with some of the next young creators coming up. Is this word privilege and what the function of privilege is, how privilege works and operates day to day. Jonas is talking a little bit about structures and systems at play, but privilege really does have a place in that. So, what is privilege? How can we learn what privilege is for ourselves, and how can we unlearn it and unpick it for ourselves and the people around us? Um,
Oh, there you go.
Connecting. There we go. Hello, hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, good, good. Could you introduce yourself for us? Because I'm sure people are confused that there's two Malachis right now.
Yeah, I'm Malachi Murphy. I've been at Fit Peckham for about 5 years now. I do acting there, and yeah, I enjoy it. It's really good.
Sick. And what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be an actor full time?
Yeah, I'm hundred percent trying to be an actor. I'm also getting into videography, so I'm doing a load of different stuff.
Sick, sick, sick. And how old are you?
I'm 17.
17. Cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool. So have you how has it been being off of sixth form college?
college. It's
How's
been
that been?
interesting. It's been different. It's unprecedented. It's never happened before. It's it's I think it's took like the power into my hands kind of, and just
Mm.
educating myself and keeping myself occupied throughout this time, because obviously we haven't got teachers to give us a kick up the arse again. So yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
Cool, let's get straight into it.
Yeah.
I was saying before that Jonas brought up this idea of privilege,
Yeah.
and in relation to allyship and how people can help black people who aren't, non-black people can help black people at
Yeah.
difficult times like these. So, what does the word privilege mean to you, and when did you first start to hear it?
I think privilege means to be just being put on a pedestal. Um I first started to hear it, or I first started to feel it just in general, like in fact, because obviously I do acting,
Mm,
and I want to be an actor when I'm older. I felt like as a black person, I not not being given a chance to kind of show my skills.
mm,
I've heard a lot of stories which are all true about about just black people in general trying to get to a higher level in life, and they've just been they've been pulled down because of their skin color. So
mm,
it's it's demotivating when you hear this sort of stuff. And I'm lucky enough it hasn't happened to me, but when you hear this sort of stuff, it's really demotivating.
mm, mm. So, what does keep you motivated as an actor who's black?
What keeps me motivated?
Mm,
Believing in myself, my family, giving me encouragement, the people
mm,
around me, everyone supports me, and I'm lucky to have such a supportive base of family, friends, and colleagues.
mm. And just going back a little bit to what you were saying about privilege, if I was to say to you the phrase privilege is invisible to people that have it, what would that bring up for you? What would that mean?
Um, just people that are obviously put on that pedestal, they cannot see it. I think that's that phrase can be true, because obviously we see some people are protesting against Black Lives Matter, and they clearly can't see the pedestal that they've been put up on. And if they did, then I'm sure they would be with us rather than against us.
Hmm. Mm. I think, yeah, what you're saying is really, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with some of my friends the other day that privilege essentially is that ability to choose to sit at home and watch
Yeah,
and like tap out. It's like, oh, it's not going to affect me. It doesn't affect me. Or the ability to like actually be an ally and go out and support people
yeah,
or like share links to campaigns or whatever it is. And I think it's really interesting that when you think about it, if you have the ability to choose not to be hurt by something, like it says a lot about you and where you come to about
yeah,
solidarity, you know, and I think solidarity right now is really important. Are
yeah. I
you
think it is.
are you feeling that from like friends and family?
Yeah, I'm feeling it from friends and family as well as even if you go to these protests and you see there's all other ethnicities other than not just black ethnicities coming together and becoming one. And I think that is a lot better than just sitting by the sidelines and saying nothing. I think if you're coming to these protests or if you're at least showing your support in some way or another, not saying that you have to go to the actual protest, but online you can um,
Mm,
show support by I don't know helping out your friend. But if you're together, like helping each other out, then it's a lot better than being a part of the problem. You're
mm,
part of the solution.
exactly. So like in terms of yourself and your career, what do you do to support yourself to get ahead?
Um, well, I like to well, I'd say I like to go above and beyond, but I like to go the extra mile. So I've done a monologue slam
Sick.
recently, and I thought that would be good to do. I like trying to push the limits and trying to just experiment with stuff um, to help hopefully exceed myself
Mm,
or exceed what I can do so far.
that's sick. Um, so when you're like acting and you're doing these monologue slams, what gives you the confidence to go out and do it, regardless of some of the barriers you might face?
Um, I've always had that mindset of what's the saying you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
That's a
the
bar.
only thing the only thing I can really say to that is I'm just gonna give it a go. Well, oh, sorry about the background. I'm just gonna give it a go. Whether it works out for me or not,
Mm,
it's just another challenge or another stepping stone I have to face.
yeah, I hear you. And if there's any questions that we've got for Malachi now, just put them in the comment section. Um, so what do you think like about activism and art? Do you consider yourself an activist in your art? Is your art a form of activism?
Um, my art can you can use art as activism, obviously. There's been loads of practitioners that have done that before. I feel like as well, I have and I can as well. Whether it's me writing my own plays to give a political view on something, or just being in a play that has a political view on something that
Mm,
is active, that is being an activist. Um, it's not necessarily just protesting; it's just showing support to a cause and just being able to stand up to something what you believe in.
yeah,
So I feel like
absolutely.
in drama, I feel like you can and I do support and I'm an activist when it comes to Black Lives Matter and other topics that need addressing.
So that seems like a really good place to end. Is there any other comments that you might have?
Um, it's not really a comment. It's just I hope that once I hope this is not a trend and it's not something that will just blow over. I hope people will continue to support it and give it the support it needs and deserves. And if you see something or sort of injustice,
Mm,
whether it's online or in real life, don't be afraid to just speak out about it and give your view and give your opinion on it.
sick. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And listen, if you've got a play that you want someone to read over to give you notes on, send it my way, yeah?
All right. It's nice to meet you as well, man.
Yeah, you too. Take care. I'm gonna invite Tyrell to join us, who you might recognize from our AD Realness panel that he hosted with Talia a few weeks ago. That's now available on our website to listen to. Hello, hello.
You're right.
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
You've been keeping busy?
Pardon?
Been keeping busy?
Yeah, been keeping quite busy. Yeah, working and stuff.
Good, 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 good. So for people that don't know who you are, please could you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Taro. I'm an actor. Um, I kind of got introduced to Theatre Peckham around a last year. I think September of last year when I was in a play called Extremism. Prior to that, I was at a 2 year course at the Brit School, which I finished. Um, I don't know if I said this, but I'm 19, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just gonna get straight right into it. Could you start off by telling us what the term Black Lives Matter means to you?
Um, the term Black Lives Matter to me, um, I feel it means to me that we shouldn't be overlooked, in the sense that I feel like when people speak about being black and when people that are privileged, they kind of look down on us, kind of thing. And I feel like it's a thing where we're not saying other lives don't matter, but what we're saying is black lives need to matter because people need to understand that we are equal. We are not low. We are not our stereotypes in the sense to look at us for who we are because we are just as important as everyone else.
So then, with that, yeah, what would you say to people who are saying all lives matter or like blue lives matter for police officers?
Um, what I would say is that I saw a good example on the internet. If a house caught fire on a road and someone called the fire brigade, yes, the fire brigade will come to the house to put out the fire, but they're not going to say we need to put out, like, go to all the houses and spray water on them. You're only going to spray water on the house that's on fire. So, yes, all lives do matter, but I feel like that is just to take away from the fact that we are saying Black Lives Matter. All lives will matter once Black Lives Matter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very well put. I think it's really interesting because there's a kind of, let me ask you this. What do you think is the difference? Do you know the word equity?
Pardon me?
You know the word equity?
No.
So basically, equity is a word that people use when you're talking about giving reasonable adjustments for someone or something that's at a disadvantage. So imagine me, you, and someone smaller than you were stood by a wall, yeah? And I'm the tallest person, but I can see over the wall. You're the middle height, you can't see over the wall, and the smallest person can't see over the wall, definitely, because they're shorter than you, yeah? Then imagine there are some boxes. If we give everyone one box, the shortest person at the end still's not going to see over the wall. You might be able to see over it, and I'm going to be seeing more over it. That's equality, right? Everyone gets given the same thing. But what equity is talking about is the shortest person is going to get more boxes because they're the shortest person and they're going to need to see over the wall. And they're going to need more boxes because they're short. So equity is looking at the fact that there are inequalities that exist, that there are differences that people have, and then apply something that is a reasonable adjustment for those different people. That's equity. But equality is just giving everyone the same thing. So for me, when I hear all lives matter, I think it's people that aren't acknowledging that there are inequalities that exist already. And it's completely what you're saying. It's the fact that black lives need to matter just as much as everybody else's. Because right now, systemically, we're suffering from a lot of inequality. So there's actually just everyone. There'll be in our bio to resources available to people to educate themselves more on the difference between equity, equality, Black Lives Matter, where you can donate money and support good causes. Um, but with all of that in mind, what do you think of the term silence is violence?
When I first I looked it up because I didn't understand what aspect uh, the term was focusing on. But what I thought silence is violence is the fact that if you're not speaking against it, you are an enabler.
Mm.
which is very interesting because we did touch on it in the play Extremism that I done with it, where there was an injustice done on stage and the audience had the chance to speak up, but nobody did. And that silence is almost like you're complying with what's happening. Uh, it's almost there's a side, and you can have a stand with the people that the injustice has been done to, or you can stand with the people that are causing the injustices. And by you not saying anything is basically you saying you find it okay with what's happening. So that's why I feel silence is violence, in a sense. Just speak up. If you see anything happening, or if you see any posts going around, or a chance to educate people or educate yourselves, take that chance. Because it's not until we all come together that we'll really resolve a lot of issues that are going on.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. What would you say to people who right now might be struggling with that because it's not something that they've done before?
What I would say is I feel right now is a brilliant time would never with lockdown. Although it's come to a close, with lockdown, a lot of people are finding more time on their hands. And with the Black Lives Matter movement being so full in force right now, there are a lot of pages going around, a lot of movie titles being sent around. There are a lot of links and a lot of people that are providing places where you can educate yourself. And I feel like it's time for everyone to take that step and have more time on your hands. So really educate yourselves on what's going on instead of speaking on something you do not know or feeling like you don't have a place to stand with people. Just educate yourselves and really understand what's happening, because then I feel like once everyone basic knowledge of what's how it's going on for, and why it's going on, I feel like as a human you'll naturally want to step up and want to help out, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. We got a question here. Do you think we have been also made to be silent for survival as well?
Um, yes and no. I do think in the past people may have felt uncomfortable with speaking out because of the backlash that they may face. But I feel like now, especially with John Boyega, the likes of John Boyega, Michael B. Jordan, Anthony Joshua, there's so many people that are in very high positions in society, and they have their careers are literally in front of millions, and they are speaking out about this, and that is, I think, they are taking the biggest risk. So I do understand people that say speaking out, like you be forced into silence, but I feel like if everyone stands up for it,
Mm.
then no one can be forced to be silent
Yeah,
at the same time. Because I feel like there's power in unity, and the more people that do stand up, is kind of creates the less people that will be told to sit down. If that makes sense.
mm, absolutely. Based off of what you were saying, do you think that there's a responsibility on black celebrities to be speaking up and donating money right now?
I do think. I do think. I don't think there's a responsibility on black celebrities. I feel like all celebrities should be speaking up. Um, when you're a celebrity, there's a big responsibility that comes with that. And I think that responsibility is to be true to yourself and to be a role model type human being. And I feel like in big humanitarian crises and in very strong political and not even political, just genuine situations where it's life or death and there's a lot of injustice, I think as a celebrity or someone that's in the public eye, it's your direct responsibility to speak against that,
Mm.
because a lot of people support you, a lot of people follow you, and you are in this position of power that you're in because of the people that watch you.
Mm.
And when injustice are being done against them, it's your responsibility to support them and be with them, because we are all humans before our career paths.
Exactly. And then touching on that, what do you think is the role or the purpose of like theatres and stuff right now? What role should they be playing in terms of supporting this movement?
Um, I feel like theatres should could help educate people. I feel like they have been doing that, but I feel like now is a chance to reach even further, because now a lot of people that were sleeping are waking up, and now that they are waking up, and starting to realize, because there was a big thing with Stormzy, a rapper. He said that England, if racism still exists in the UK. And a lot of people said, no, it doesn't. And they were outraged at the fact that he could say that because they didn't realize that racism exists. But it does. And it's only now that people are they're stopping the question of if racism exists and they're realizing it does exist. So now that people are realizing that, I feel like theaters, creators, all sorts of media outlets should start to educate those people that are only now waking up. Because now that they're realizing it, we need to show them how we can change it and what we can do to come together to support the Black Lives Matter movement and all movements in general. But right now, most definitely the Black Lives Matter movement, because it's been happening for so long that now people are finally waking up. We need to really educate them and make sure they don't go to sleep.
I think something I found in my career, even when I haven't necessarily signed up to it, is being the person educating other people. So whether that's in a board meeting or in a workshop or rehearsing with actors or producing a festival, in so many different contexts, I then have to somehow be the voice of all Black people or do the education when, as you're saying, like all of the resources are there. So my final question to you is, do you feel like you ever have to be the voice of all Black people in certain settings? And what do you do to like find your dignity after that?
I do feel like that. Again, I went to the Brit school where I had a 2-year course, and the majority of the Brit school is white, and it's really prominent, like the divide kind of thing. There was, I think, out of 70 students, I think less than 10 of them were Black. There might have been a slight bit more, but like you could really tell that there was a difference. And I did find that a lot when racism was brought up, a lot of people would look to you, and although a lot of people were understanding of what is going on, they were acknowledging it. It was still our responsibility to kind of bring that aspect of what we've gone through. And I do find that sometimes it can be very frustrating, having to always be the spokesperson, always say. It can be very tiring because you feel like you're just saying it, your message isn't being heard, because once you say it to one person, you have to say it to another and another. I feel like it's our responsibility. If we want equality, we have to work for it. And if all we have to do is repeat ourselves and educate people, then we should do that. And we should also enable them to educate themselves. And I also think that within that, we can't blame certain people for not, if they don't know. It's only once they are enlightened and then choose to ignore it that we can really speak to them. If people aren't enlightened, it's our job to enlighten them. From then, they should join us in enlightening others, and it's kind of like a domino effect. But yeah, I feel like just be patient, educate someone, and see what they do with that.
That's a lovely place to end. Enlightenment is the key. Education is the key as well. The question about anti-racist, I'll save for our next young person. But Tyrell, thank you so much for your time and for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. We'll be in touch. Wicked, cool. Thank you, everybody who is still joined in to Live and Direct. This is Theatre Peckham's new weekly series where we give young people our Instagram accounts to do whatever they want, basically. They might be cooking one week, they might be gardening the next week. But today we're having 5 young people with me discussing how they feel about the current Black Lives Matter movement, the protests, and what they think is going to come from it. So I'd like to invite Amina up next.
So my name is Amina. I'm in my 20s. I'll leave it there. And I've been with Theatre Peckham since October last year as part of Theatre Peckham Rep Company, which is headed up by Toby Clark.
Please tell us what it is that you're aspiring to be, because I know you do lots of different things.
So I am aspiring to be an actor and writer. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really.
And how's that journey been for you so far?
The trajectory's actually been very positive. That's sort of come off from previously wanting to be an architect, realizing that it's not for me because of the industry. And then I sort of went back to, okay, what do I really love doing? and something that I know that I would, you know, really put myself forward and invest myself in, and that was acting and writing. So it's been very positive. Started off at Oval House with the Young Associates program. It was a beautiful experience, and then coming into Theatre Peckham, where again it's all about celebrating the diversity of identities and experiences that really brings up an authentic, truthful flavour to our group and the work that we do.
It's amazing. That sounds really, really positive so far. I hope that continues for you. But you touched on, you're speaking about identity, and I wanted to know if you feel like, due to your politicized identity, being black and a woman who's Muslim, do you feel like you are facing more inequalities or barriers than other people trying to make it in this industry?
Definitely. I think one of my main barriers before really jumping into it is, do I have to tone myself down? Do I have to be more palatable in my views because I am so visible in my intersections? I was just thinking, like, is there really a place for me? I don't see myself here, so am I wanted here? Is my voice valid? And then I just had to bring it back to, I'm here because I want to be the change I want to see, because I'm tired of waiting for other people to do it for me. And I want to make it easier for those who do have this aspiration, but again, they don't see the people or the representation that they do see don't necessarily match all of their identities. Then I want them to know that if I'm here, they can also come as well.
And it's keeping that door open for other people that's so important. I think
Definitely.
A lot of the times we can forget that just because we got in, like we just have our foot in the door and there's a queue of people behind us. If we're at the door, we should let as many people in as possible. I think what's really interesting right now is we're seeing a real spark of people calling out drama schools and theatres for not being inclusive, with a lack of representation in their staff team, in what's taught on the curriculum, in what's on the stages, in the creative teams, etc., etc. Do you have any sort of comments on that, and how have you felt that now that people are finally addressing it?
This was one of the reasons why I didn't see drama school as a viable option for me. Number one was because of the money. But two was because I just thought they really, like, people won't actually know what to do with me. You know, that was a genuine thought that I had. But thankfully, I was part of the National Youth Theatre. I completed it last year, and it was just such a beautiful environment because of my course director, and it goes to show how much power and influence they have in commanding the group as a whole, and how they see themselves and how they interact with others. So with this in mind, considering, and to be honest, my course leader was kind of like, you know, anti-drama school with the way they're set up, so he's a bit of a radical himself, to be honest. But with the way that drama schools are set up, it's still very much entrenched in a hierarchy of different bodies. You know, who gets the main parts, who gets the side parts, who gets the really stereotypical, you know, ethnic low parts, the maid, the servant, this. Even the plays that I even put on is not, you know, you're just regurgitating things over again. Not to say that, you know, like Shakespeare and Chekhov and stuff are not important canons, but look at all the contemporary stuff. Look at the city and the country that we're in, and the various stories and cultures that we inhabit. Shouldn't that what art should be able to encapsulate? You know, being such, you know, a liberal, you know, art that it should be. But again, people with their perceived notions and biases are then trickling it down into an industry, into an art form that should be very, very freeing and accepting of all these cultures.
So if you were to run a drama school, what would be on the curriculum?
What would be on the curriculum is, for me, I love world history. So I would like to bring not only plays, but dramatic styles from different countries. So for example, you've got, in West Africa, the formal form of theatre is not there per se, but you've got griots. It's based on storytelling, and that's what the heart of theatre is. It's about telling stories. You've got, there's beautiful storytelling cultures from all over the world, and I want that to be explored and celebrated. And then people from their own backgrounds bringing in their own flavors. You have like this really like beautiful fusion where something new can come out of it. And I think that's what theatre and art should be. It should be explorative, where you find something new and you all have an equal stake in it. I think that's something that's really important, so that you can own that art form as yours, rather than you feel like you have to place yourself into something that already exists.
It's that democratization almost, that everyone has a part to play, that everyone
Definitely.
is active and has a stake, is so important. And I think with the Black Lives Matter movement, that's what we've actually seen, especially through social media and the role that digital has had to play. It's like we're seeing so many people have access to language and curriculum and like academia that has never been necessarily shared en masse like this before. How do you feel that social media has a part to play in terms of your journey as a maker, but also just as a Black person in the UK?
Just generally with this age of information, but even more so with Black Lives Matter and all of these resources, for me personally, it's been a little bit overwhelming. There's just like, there's this article and that article and this video and that. It's too much for a single person to face. So I try to drip feed it where I can, because I feel like if I just go head first, I'm just going to drown in it, and it's just going to just affect my soul and affect my psyche. But it is very useful. Again, unfortunately, more people are learning more from the articles that they see online than from their own schools and their own classes, and that's very, very shameful. And I think that's why there's this whole movement to decolonialize the education system. I remember there was even like a thread about like, what did you learn in history in year 6 or in secondary school? And a lot of people, okay, like Tudors, King Henry, Industrial Revolution, but omitting that it was off the backs of slaves. It to see to have history seen in its whole truth, rather than glamorizing the bits that to make you look good. It's definitely an eye-opener, and I've sort of like forced myself to sort of like get back into relearning things that I need to relearn. So I'm currently part of a book club, and we're going over A Colour's Natives, and that's just been a really good reintroduction into broadening my knowledge, really.
I mean, a lot of people here seem to be resonating about what you're saying about this overwhelming amount of information. How have you gone about picking and choosing what to engage with and what not to? And as a follow-up, do you feel like, how have you carved out space for your well-being during this time?
So as much as George Floyd has opened up, continues to highlight US injustices, my focus really is on UK injustices and UK civil rights movements, from the Bristol bus boycotts to to our own struggles. There was Sitting in Limbo on BBC Two, a couple of days ago, really dramatizing the reality that many of our you know, elders who should be really respected and venerated for the work that they did coming to this country, and how they've just been, you know, just been dashed aside. I think that one of the things that's really raised with me is how Black bodies seem to be expendable. We are celebrated when we are worthy, when we are needed, when we are when we can be made used of, and then when we're no longer profitable or no longer useful, then we are just brushed to the side, and that's it. And I think that for me really is why Black Lives Matter for me, because we have our experiences of Blackness is our truth, and that should be acknowledged, and it should be held and believed. Like, believe Black people when we tell you about our struggles, like believe us. And again, with Belly Mujinga as well, that one really hit a nerve, because not only did she declare that she was compromised due to her health, her employer still put her back to work and put her in danger of COVID, and then she did, I still believe she was spat out, to be honest, regardless of what, you know, British Transport Police are trying to say, and then she did contract COVID, and then she died. So, and this goes back to institutionalized racism in all parts of our institutions, whether it's the police, whether it's education, whether it's health. When we say we are sick, believe us. When we have chronic pains, we have chronic pains, believe us. When we have heart issues, we have our heart issues, believe us. When mothers who instinctively know their bodies are somewhat, there's something not wrong, and we tell you these problems, believe us, but they're not. And, you know, we seem to have like the highest death rates within the medical profession, because we are just not believed. And by the time we are, it's too late and nothing can happen. So for me, that is the answers of why Black Lives Matter, because why shouldn't it be? If you're believed when you say something, why is my testimony, why is my truth less just because I've got more melanin in my skin? It doesn't make any sense. So that's why this whole all lives matter thing is a misnomer, because if all lives mattered, Black lives would matter in that, but because it doesn't, it isn't. So that's why we have to highlight us at this moment in time.
I completely agree with everything you just said, and I feel like everyone else here does as well. So well articulated in ways that I couldn't articulate myself. I think what you're saying also speaks to why all Black Lives Matter as well, and that, as you highlighted, gendered racism towards Black women in the NHS, whether they are working for the NHS as a consultant or whatever, or as a patient, Black women are disabilities of mental health, because it's just easier to actually not really care, and it's just easier to put all those Black women over there, isn't it? Because would they care? And it's really time to action and protest. I think what this movement is highlighting, and what we need to acknowledge, is the breadth of Blackness that exists as well, and that is Black queer people, that is Black trans people, that is Black people who are from low economic backgrounds, that is the Black middle class, and using their privileges to action and to vocalize and to support such an important movement. I could go on, but this has been really great. Thank you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say?
Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot to address the bit in your question when you said about maintaining mental health. We do need to step back. We do need to, you know, as much as we want to keep the momentum going and making sure that people's names are not lost into the ether, we need to protect ourselves. I feel like, because this is traumatic, and we are highly functioning with this trauma, I think, because we're so used to it. But it's weighing down on our hearts, it's weighing down on our minds, and we need to learn, we need to trust that even though we have to step back to take care of ourselves, there are other people baton to the past. Is that more people are waking up to the fact that I wasn't on side before, and it still keeps happening. And they've acknowledged within themselves that they may have been part of the problem through complicity, through silence. And as much as some people want to feel like, oh my God, I need to make up for all the times that I completely like ignored you, and I need to get up to speed, I think you just need to recognize that people are tired. So even if you do reach out to them and they don't respond to you, or you feel like there's a little bit of a gap, it's not to say that we don't see you or hear.
Don't let Instagram hold you back, as Suzanne said. We are unstoppable. Sorry, everybody, about that. I didn't realize that it cut off after an hour. But we've saved the video, and that will be available on our Instagram Live, on our Instagram TV. Sorry about that. Would you like to finish what your thought was? Do you remember?
Yeah, so just essentially just know when to step back, and then when you do step back and recharge, that know that there are people who are able to take the baton and to continue pushing it forward. I feel like sometimes we just feel like we have to do everything ourselves, and we risk burning out. So I just think just trust the process. It's Black Lives Matter is definitely a marathon, not a sprint, and we need to be in a right frame of mind to be able to address, the multiple structures that are against us in order to reform them. And I think I was just saying that in terms of allies that want to step up on the plate and support, just know that if you do reach out and we don't respond straight away, or there's a bit of a gap, is not to say that we don't acknowledge you. It's just that we need to protect ourselves before engaging in a meaningful beneficial discussion that will be able to help us all.
Yeah, absolutely. That self-protection, especially in communities, if you can form them, if you can be part of them, if you can create one and open one up for somebody else, those communal spaces for protection and safety, and to reignite that sense of belonging, is so important. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. Yeah, hope to be in touch soon.
Thank you.
There is meant to be one more young person joining us. I'm not sure if Liz is tuned in right now. But as I was saying at the beginning of this IG Live, this is a new series that Theatre Peckham is launching to amplify the voices of our creative young people at this time. So they'll be talking on various different topics whilst doing various different things, and you'll be learning a lot more about that shortly. Yeah, our panel event, AD Realness, that Taro, who was on earlier, and Talia from our rep company hosted, is now available on our website. So if you want to have an evening full of Theatre Peckham goodness, you can stream that panel straight through our website right after this. And we've also got our podcast, Lockdown and Me, where we brought together some of our creatives and young artists to speak about how they felt during the lockdown. Is available also to listen to through our website and on our SoundCloud. So that's the AD Realness panel and Lockdown and Me. And this is the first of the series of Live and Direct. I'm gonna, if she doesn't join, I think we might wrap up this Instagram Live. And this is the issue with live things. Not everything always goes to plan. How have I been through Black Lives Matter? It's an interesting question. I've been trying to cope. I've been trying to protect myself, as Amina was saying, and trying to find the spaces where I can do that safely. I think it's been really difficult to process and acknowledge everything that's happening, and I'm definitely being selective with my consumption of things. I will be straight off social media after this live because it's overwhelming, as was discussed. So I've just been trying to find the time to still do the activism that I feel is right and necessary, but also not expel so much of my energy um, educating people that don't know or don't wish to be educated, because that's exhausting too. Um, I can't see Liz, unfortunately, so I think we're going to wrap up this live and direct right here. I really want to thank Jonas, Malachi, Tyrell, Amina, and Liz for joining us on this. This will be the first of many. Hopefully, we'll be back in a few weeks' time at the same slot, Monday at 6 p.m. So you can have a good start to your week after a long Monday. I'm Malachi, I'm the Associate Director at Theatre Peckham, and I want to thank you all so much for joining me. This Instagram Live will be available on our IGTV, so you can catch it again another time. Thank you all so much as well for submitting your questions, for being so honest and open. And really, we hope that we've managed to create a space for discussion, that this doesn't stay here between me and you in this very strangely intimate, but also obviously very public event. We want the word to continue to spread and really hone in on what our young people are saying. They are going to be the ones disproportionately affected, not just by the COVID crisis, but by the systemic racism that is entrenched in so many systems in this country. So whether you're an ally or a black person, whether this is completely new to you or whether you're well versed, this is a time for unity and for collective movement so we can actually seek and obtain justice. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely evening and take good care.